an exploratory meeting. So no commitment,
Right.
nothing is bounding. So we just explore. So you all understand that. All right, good. Some stories that you might want to explore that will be of interest to the community. That no one here in the U.S. or when I was in Liberia, I saw that really explored, that brought to stage, on stage, what people went through in the war, about the war. Imagine someone going through a checkpoint where guarded by rebels, dressed with all kinds of horrible things, and you're going through the checkpoint, it's searching you. Imagine when what happened at the church in Lutheran massacre, all of the massacres, all of those stories of people. I think it is something that bringing it on stage will really be of interest to people in my community. People come to the center to talk about it, but for someone to really bring it on stage as a play, to depicting people's stories, I think it will really be will be the most, profound way of promoting healing in the community.
Everyone in that community has had the checkpoint experience.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they would get tortured or abused
Yes.
or raped.
Yes.
At the checkpoint.
Because it's this transitional moment where, TRC is also a checkpoint.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's a transitional moment where you stop and you check. And you want to see who goes through and who doesn't. The
Whether
metaphor
you
of
get through
checkpoints.
alive or whether
Whether you go to jail. Whether you
get killed.
Well, I have a visa to come to this country.
where you're vulnerable to someone else's power. I mean, that almost everyone we've spoken to in that community has been through the checkpoint, and that's where they were abused, isn't it?
Checkpoints. Terrible, yeah.
There are checkpoints everywhere throughout the world, right?
I just got stopped at one, like in
The subway?
going on the the subway going on the Williamsburg Bridge, just checking if people are drunk or not. It
Yeah,
just
yeah.
kind of slowed things down, and I wasn't, but I was like terrified.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's just
Sure.
these big men coming up to my window and looking through my stuff.
With
just
guns.
Yeah.
I was at
Right.
Chambers Street train station just the other day, and there were 6 soldiers, emergency soldiers with machine guns, full out, standing there. And I went over and I said, is there an
Are they
alert?
okay?
Maybe I should know.
Is there an alert?
Get us somewhere.
And he said, no, it's our random
Yeah.
post. And I have a friend who's Lebanese who always gets searched every time she goes through airports, and it's always a random.
Yeah.
It's
Racial
random. It's
profiling
always
of
random. It's
checkpoints.
always random, but it's always hard. So I didn't believe that this was necessarily random, but that was the line.
But it's a great
It is a great
concept
metaphor.
to look at what's going on in those countries and also what goes on here.
Here, absolutely.
It ties. But it actually, I think it's nice
But
you
the
brought this up because
checkpoint I'm talking about is a different checkpoint. It is a checkpoint where you have people, a lawless checkpoint, where the guy standing there, he's the law of the checkpoint. Your life, your fate is in his hand.
I was in the closet the night I was attacked and got shot. I had met so much that night. On the night of the 20th of October, 94. I was there watching the man in the house, and I'm just sitting there trying to give up my ghost. Just let it go. Let it happen. I closed my eyes. That's what I'm saying. I was feeling another world, just feelings for there, in another world. And I saw my late father. And we had a brief chat. My father telling me, I know, you can make it. You can make it. You can make it. Keep hearing the voice. You can make it. You can make it. You can make it. It's around that time, about 20 minutes later, the peacekeeping force officers came in, and the armed men escaped. So I always remember that moment, and that's a magical moment. That moment of joy, but it was. So I always remember that moment when I would almost throw up the ghost. I know I should have died that night. But why I'm here? Why am I here? Why am I here?
Being in the war situation is very difficult. And I don't know about other people, but for me, talking about it is difficult. But I'll try. I was like 18 when the war started. Almost 19 years old. Like I said to Saul, the war took away a lot of people because you like in back home, especially you got federal council or classes. Okay, if you come from a poor background, you're not able to have that teenage life. Everything will come and go, and you not even remember that it has passed. You have some people that don't know how to celebrate Christmas, that don't know how to celebrate Thanksgiving, like you all do here celebrate Halloween. People grow up not knowing those things, and then one morning you get up, there's a war, and you don't even know where to turn and where to begin, where to start. And like I told him, I have a brother, and I had it in my teenage year. Okay, and I was in the hospital when the war started. I didn't have faith, but okay. And I was sick, and so my mother and grandmother took my daughter.
Actually,
Unfold my story gently. There are secrets.
I was 18 when the war started.
I was 18. I was 18 when the war started.
One day you wake up and
One day
there's
you
a
wake
war.
up and there's a war, and you don't know where to begin.
You don't know where to start.
Trauma is different from what you remember.
People die because of fear.
People die because of fear. Checkpoints. Checkpoints.
My life, it's been all about going back and forward.
Which war is this?
Octopus.
6 months of hell.
You see people die every day.
You see people die every day.
My family is made up of women.
My family is made up of women. We are all women.
Crossing over death.
Crying river.
Women crossing with babies.
Women crossing with babies.
I dream for her to get out.
Dream for her to get out. My belly is empty. My heart cries tears into the ground to cry a new Liberia.
Fly away, Africa.
Fly away, Africa! Keep returning to the heart, to the home.
Keep a part of yourself hidden.
Keep a part of yourself hidden.
You know, this checkpoints idea is such a perfect metaphor. It makes me know that I know exactly what your experience was. In fact, everybody in this room, every single person has been through a checkpoint. In fact, everybody has been through a checkpoint today, just getting into this building, right? And you all have checkpoint stories. What happened when you came into the building?
The guy pulled me anyway.
Did you have an ID? You didn't have an ID and they let you in? My God. What about you? Do you have a checkpoint story? You're taking too long. What about you? You're black. You must have a checkpoint story. A lot of checkpoints. Absolutely. Everybody understands it. I mean, I've got a checkpoint story.
I'm sure you do.
I absolutely have a
What's
checkpoint
your
story.
checkpoint
All right,
story,
I was in the Soviet Union. And I was wearing Levi's jeans. This is 25 years ago when the Soviet Union was the Soviet Union. And I'm wearing Levi's jeans, and this guy comes up to me on the street and says, "Can I buy your jeans for $200 worth of rubles?" Black market. It was really very hot. $200 today, it's not a big deal, but then. So I had rented a car. I get into the car, and I take off my jeans. I give it to him. He gives me $200 worth of rubles.
Oh my God.
And I start driving to my hotel, and there, on the way, in my underwear, and on the way, there's a checkpoint, and the Soviet police is with flashlights and guns, and I gotta go to the checkpoint. I'm in my underwear, and I'm thinking gulag at the Pelican, right? But no, what happens is that they go. There's a car in front of me, they let him go. Another car in front of me, they let him go. I come up to the checkpoint, and they look at the license plate. They see tourist, so they just wave me on.
But the checkpoint I'm talking about,
But the checkpoint I'm talking about,
it's a different.
it's a different kind of checkpoint. It's a
But
checkpoint
people,
of people.
the
lawless.
a lawless.
Checkpoint. The guy there, he takes your hand, your fate, your life, and your death in his hands, in his own hands. He's there and he makes a decision about your death and your life. In concrete terms, when the trigger goes off, you're gone. It's a woman. It's a checkpoint where there's a woman. And they open her stomach and they look to find out whether it's a girl or a boy. The sex of the baby. It's a checkpoint of no humanity. It's something that we don't want to talk about. We don't want to talk about because it's a checkpoint where the gate is a human organ.
if you lift your head and look at the other end, the individual who intestine is made out of the checkpoint. Head is standing on the other side.
You go to the other end and there's a head of a human being at the other end of the intestine. And you look at that head and that's the person. It's the person whose intestine is the checkpoint.
Well, actually, when you look in Liberia, a few years back before coming to America, Liberia was like a head of kind of movement from here, there, and forcefully, because of the war. So people had to run for their living. You either find a way out of the country, or you enter in IDP camps, which is internal displaced area where you find yourself settled down just for a little movement, you know what I mean? Because running from this hand that you not trust, running to another hand that you cannot trust, but you're just doing it because the example what we're doing here close to your eye and seeing you moving. You just have to go, whether you like it or not, you have to make a move.
When you're thinking about Liberia, like a few years back, before coming to this country, Liberia was like a helter-skelter movement from year to year, from here to here, because of the war. Everybody was running for their living. Running from this hand that you couldn't trust, running to that hand that you cannot trust.
People are moving about with arms in their hand. Don't care what they're going to come across, because once they get an arm in their hand, they can ask you to do whatever they want. They can tell you, you get in front of me! You gotta get in front of me!
Hey! Stop that shit! I got the bullet for your head right now!
You don't know how far you're going, you don't know if you're going to come back.
If I feel sorry for you right now and ask you to put this chair down, doubt if you're going to survive. You're not going to come back.
You say,
put it down!
Say, I don't want you behind me, and I don't want you going back and tell the news to people we're going this direction.
You may die.
I don't want you behind me, and I don't want to go back and tell the people that we're going this direction.
Take that shot! Make up a bullet for your head right now! Right now!
Like in my house? My mother, she woke up every morning when I was there. She physically gave me the full moon. She provided food for you. We got a bed of rice in the house.
It's really late at night when the food is done. It's 10 o'clock. The parents don't come home until 10 o'clock. They have to go to the market and sell batik and foodstuffs and other things. And the kids are home alone.
So if you was a kid, you're supposed to be sleeping, but you're waiting for a little food. And then it's just going to be a handful.
And when you're a child alone at home, you're vulnerable.
People are moving around with arms in their hand, don't care who they come across, because once they get an arm in their hand, they can tell you to do anything, and you'll do it. They can tell you, get in front of me, you get in front of me.
Every day they see 2 or 3 things just like this. Every day.
I don't want you going back and tell the news to people that we're going this direction. You may die.
What am I having an arm for as an individual and a civilian?
The only way out is to go to arms. And I don't want them to go to arms, because if they go to arms, they won't listen. A rebel has no rules.
They come and tell you today what to do, and you do it. You do it. And if you do it, nobody asks questions.
So if you was a kid, and you were given an arm, and they send you to a town, maybe passing by, but your enemy is not within that town, but you came across a guy who is wealthy with a family, your instructions would be to stop here and do what you want to do right here.
So if I'm seeing those kind of things, there's a slight chance of me becoming a part. But my mother, she's a very difficult woman. Everything you would want to do, she would like to know why you want to do it. If you cannot explain to her to a reason why you would want to do it, you cannot make that move. And then listen, she can't use force, because force would make me go out and say I'm not coming back.
And as an individual who arms my hand, is an individual who determines what to do with the arm, for the good purpose or for the bad purpose. He determines it.
Once I get an arm in my hand now, I gotta use it.
Boom!
If the arm could be used for a good purpose or a bad purpose.
The individual with a gun determines whether it's used for a good purpose or bad.
What I do now, why tomorrow has fallen. We have great mansions and palaces, hardship and poverty, no matter it has, I'm gonna trust him, for he knows what's best for me. He didn't say, my tomorrow will all be bright. He didn't say, there be rivers of tears to cry. He only said that I should trust him, for I never know what tomorrow has for me. My tomorrow may be as the judgment day, when I'm expected to give accounts of all of my deeds, bear reference about before thee, justified by thy grace. Lord, I never know what tomorrow has